So good morning again. I have the pleasure of introducing our next keynote speaker. Brigadier General Terrence Adams is the Deputy Principal Cyber Advisor to the Secretary of Defense and Senior Military Advisor for Cyber Policy. As the DPCA, he serves as the Principal Advisor to the Secretary on Military Cyber Forces and activities. He's also responsible for assessing and overseeing the implementation of the cyber strategy of the department and execution of the cyber posture review of the department on behalf of the Secretary. On behalf of the Principal Cyber Advisor, Brigadier General Adams leads a cross-functional team focused on synchronizing and coordinating military and civilian cyber forces and activities of the department. Sir, welcome.
So good morning, everybody. How y'all doing today? So it is a beautiful day outside. I was able to walk in and get some fresh air. You all picked a great day to have a conversation about cyber. I like the institution, just kind of heard about the institution, but like the partnership. One of the things we'll get into, part of my remarks would be about academic partnership because I think it's important for the community. Before I go too far in my remarks, I want to thank your leadership. So, Chris, thanks for having me here and the invitation. Christine did a great job of kind of welcoming me in. And then I had an opportunity to meet somebody that was in the, I'm going to call him the godfather of my position, John Davis, that's over there. So a round of applause for John Davis right here. So General Davis was on the ground floor of this organization that we have now called the Office of the Principal Cyber Advisor. So what is that office, right? Many of you may not know about this office. I didn't know about this office. And I know these things in the Pentagon because I'm happy to be out of that place for just a few minutes. It could be a boring place if you're kind of a keyboard ninja that's out there. The things that I may talk to you about may not be of interest, but they're going to be key into the future of this community. The things that we're working and our ability to be able to partner with all the apparatuses inside the Pentagon will continue to set a strong foundation for the future of this community. So today I want to talk to you about three things. One will be about the organization that I'm a part of and that I lead. The other things will be about the future of the force. And we'll be able to tie in some things about workforce with that because the partnership that we're going to have with industry and also with academia is going to be very important. So perhaps, John, so I thought it was a 10-year-old organization, but seconds ago, I found out that 12 years ago, the organization kind of started a journey to where there were men and women who were understanding that the Pentagon was an important place to try to solidify cyber's presence across the Department of Defense. And we had no advocate that was in the building to do that. So there was a position that was created like senior advisor, not the deputy principal advisor, but senior advisor was a term they were using to have somebody in the building to advocate for the things that were going on in Cyber Command. John Davis led that effort. And then be able to write legislation with Congress, because one of the things that we're able to do is our partnership with Congress as well. The changes that we need are always kind of partnered with Congress. So we were able to put this in writing to create this position. And then 10 years ago, it actually got written down that we would have this deputy principal cyber advisor, but also a principal cyber advisor. And so we've been on this journey to try to solidify the positions, the roles, and the responsibilities inside the office. Additionally, Congress will come online. We stood up cross-functional teams to be able to do our work. But then one day they began to give us actual billets. Under the cross-functional team concept, we just had people coming in and out of the office, not dedicated civilian employees. Anne Marie right here was one of our first employees that we kind of had that solidified this journey of having permanent cyber professionals working this portfolio. Now just recently named to be the Navy's first kind of, I know Chris was in there in a capacity that kind of led this organization to stand up the Navy's principal cyber advisor, and now we have Anne Marie in that position. So a round of applause for Anne for her new position. And I'm also joined in now with the predecessors of Ann, the people who are actually in my office today doing work. So raise your hand. We got Jesse, Treva, and Dave that are right here. Raise your hand. Now, these are the folks that I go to every day and beat up. I got a tasker for them as soon as I get off stage because we got a lot of things to do, but very small office, but a mighty office. Oh, and so then the relationship continues to where Congress would want us to be dedicated. When I arrived into position, I worked for Dr. Plum under the ASD for Space, Assistant Secretary of Defense for Space. Because our business was getting more and more important, Congress decided to say we need to separate that relationship. So under that office, we had the policy for nukes, we had the policy for missiles and missile defense, and we also had cyber policy, and then my office, the Office of the Principal Cyber Advisor. Congress decided on that we would put this enactment in and say we need to have a separate Assistant Secretary of Defense for cyber. Again, we are writing the history for where this domain that we talk about is getting solidified in the building. So on March the 20th, we had a policy letter that would come out that would officially stand up the ASD for cyber. We did that this year. So the office now is officially almost 2 to 3 months old, but it's starting this journey where we're going to write the history about the Assistant Secretary of Defense for cyber inside the building. We came over with the cyber policy, Ms. Mika Oyang, if you know her position. On a policy front, she is the person that deals with the command, that deals with the White House about any kind of operations that we're doing. That policy sets the guidelines, the boundaries, and left and right of the things that we're going to do in cyberspace. My office role primarily is to do the oversight for organizing, training, and equipping the cyber force. So if you're familiar, as SOLIC were on their journey with the U.S. Special Operations Command, there needed to be an office inside the building that was the service-like secretariat for that mission. My office is that similar office for Cyber Command. We provide the oversight. And also this year happened the enactment of enhanced budget control. As many of you all may know, that the money for doing cyber has been spread out across the services. And so this enactment gave us an opportunity to consolidate the money that we had across the department and to be able to give some decision-making authority to the commander of U.S. Cyber Command about making decisions about where we're going to spend that money. Again, writing the history of changing this to make sure that we have our policies and our procedures to make this a true warfighting domain. And so we began that as well with the enactment that took place. So some 2 key decisions, standing up the ASD for cyber and then enhanced budget control becoming real. We were just in the office yesterday with the professional staffers going over our plan with our budget and how we plan to take control of the money and be accountable for that money. So the relationship that we have doing that is strong, working with your J8 as well, and then our office that we have working requirements and then also capabilities with United States Cyber Command. So again, these are some of the small things that we're working in the position of the Office of the Principal Cyber Advisor. The next thing I'll talk about now is just pretty much all the things that we're doing with the workforce. And that workforce means you. Now, many of you all probably don't know any of the things I'm talking about, right? Because they are so high level, and I'm always thinking that I'm boring you with even telling you about these things, but you should know what's going on in the Pentagon. Right? It may be far away from some of your military positions. It may be far away from some of your contractor positions, but you should know day in and day out, there are men and women in the Pentagon fighting for new policy. If you're familiar with cyber accepted service, that is one of those things that was enacted through men and women in the Pentagon trying to make sure that we looked at cyber differently, that we didn't treat it the same as the things that we're treating with IT, but we wanted to ensure that we were looking at cyber uniquely. So we stood up this ability to have a cyber accepted service. Jesse right here, Jesse Johnson, the first person that's on the seat that's in my office there, is the person who leads the workforce, all the changes that you kind of see in the workforce. There's conversation about readiness that I think you already know and a part of. How can we come up with improving readiness? There's conversation about equal pay across the services for work roles. Why should somebody that's a Marine get paid less than somebody that's a Navy person or an airman that's doing the same exact function for the nation? Why are they receiving separate and different pay? There are things about training standards that we have that we want to ensure that we're rolling out. All these things our office wrestle with each and every day. And so the things and the bureaucracy that may not be at a combatant command level is how do you get those things then approved inside the building? TLMS, to where we can ensure that there's pay for civilians across the board. That they're doing that again. In some cases, it may be DSIPs, it may be an Intel system, or it may be Cyber and Septic Service, or it may be a GS. But they all may be by different pay kind of categories or civilian management categories. But they're all things that we want to make sure that we try to normalize. Those things that we do in this kind of cyber workforce management board called the SWIM-B. It is a process that it takes longer than I would want it to take, but I have to understand if I have to succeed inside the Pentagon, it is a bureaucratic place, and we need to use all the bureaucratic levers that we have. And those levers are called governance. So each and every day, and that's why it's important for me to come to forums like this so I can understand what are the true issues that are going on inside the community. And this is why I'm happy that this organization was founded. Is Joe around? Is the founder? There we go. So round of applause for Joe. You all probably know Joe. So when I talked to Joe earlier today, it's an opportunity to understand the vision of someone who started out wanting to make a difference and change, taking out the uniform of being in the Army. I think he was in a program, and now Joe recently got his PhD from this university as well, but a vision to be able to understand what's going on with military cyber professionals. This organization is important because I think it is a grassroots organization that will feed me and my team an understanding of what's actually going on. When we had a study from RAND to talk about readiness and things, it was been an opportunity for us to reach out and partner with your organization because, again, we can get the ground truth. What's actually going on in the trenches of the keyboard, right, that are going on each and every day. Our office should have an understanding of that. So I seek to have a strong partnership to understand what are the challenges that you are going through today and then the challenges that we may see in the future. This organization is that grassroots touch point that we want to have. So Jesse's got the task, and that's why he's going to be here all day with his team to be able to have a conversation, to listen. My leadership tenets are listen, lift, love. We won't have time to get into the leadership tenets today, but it starts with listening. To me, it is the most important part of leadership and the most important part of command is understanding not what's going on just from your point of view, but what's going on 2 and 3 levels removed from your point of view. If we are leading, we could be, as I tell people, leadership is a gift. This gift is given to us by our followers. So one day if you turn around and nobody's behind you, you are not a leader. It takes the leader to understand that you have to listen to individuals to understand. And so that's why I wanted to come here today to be able to start a conversation about listening to your organization, about a partnership with your organization and my organization, about how we can build a better future. There has been pages written on the history of cyber and cyber operations already. You and I, as we sit here today, and as you have your conversations later on today, we begin to kind of pick up the pen and write and continue to write the future about cyber operations. Each one of the missions that you all do is an opportunity to continue to write the history about cyber operations. Our nation is going to need people who understand what's going on in this business, as many of you all may know, because a lot of things are secure and too secret to talk about. Many of the people who are making key decisions about money and about policy, they don't know what's going on in this space. And so my job is to be that kind of translator, to be a translator, to be able to tell the stories of the men and women who are doing work each and every day, to be able to translate that into policy that is effective for you all. Congress also signed out a policy about awards. It's called the Brigadier Award. It's an award that's already out there, but our ability to be able to assign money to individuals. This award comes with the high end of $2,500 that we can offer to an individual or a team. We may have not given out, we have not scaled our process to be able to produce this award, but it will happen before I leave this position. I think Jesse knows that this is a priority. Congress has given us some authority, and we have an opportunity to do that, and I'll be working with the command and with the service to ensure that we're able to enact that. The Army, Dr. Solmeyer, who has been nominated as the first Assistant Secretary of Defense, upon confirmation, he perhaps may come into this position. He serves now as the Army PCA, and so the Army is taking this up. as one of the things that they're going to prove that we can not only find ways to ensure the payment happens, but then now that we can repeat these steps. We have the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force gearing up to ensure that we can take this advantage that Congress has given us, ensure that we can get money into the pockets of soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. Those are some of the things that we continue to work across with the other principal cyber advisors in the service. The last thing I want to do is just say a quick thanks. We have an opportunity for you all, the men and women who sit in these seats, and I saw many of them who are not in this room. I don't know what they're doing out there, but they said, I don't want to hear that general talk. Let me go, because I saw a whole bunch of people walking by that are not in here tonight right now, but they're getting some training somewhere. But I would tell you that you all are the foundation of this community, each and every one of you, because you know what cyber can do. You know how cyber can integrate into warfighting. And I think that's why you're here. That's why you're a part of this organization. And I know it may be bleak sometimes, not knowing that maybe we don't have all the money. Maybe we don't have all the policy, and maybe people in that Pentagon don't understand who we are. I will tell you there's a few people who do, and that's my office. And we're going to be diligent to try to make sure that we spread the good news stories of what the men and women in this profession are doing each and every day. Without you, I think our nation will meet some of our adversaries and be ill prepared to be able to integrate cyber operations with the larger fight. Many people don't think that the things that we're talking about are possible because they don't have a clearance to really understand what's going on in the business. I go out and talk to audiences a lot, and they think it's all smoke and mirrors. I think Jesse and I was at one of the conferences at Air University where somebody said, well, it's not really war fighting if it doesn't break anything. But these are the mindsets of individuals who's grown up thinking about war fighting in a different environment. I will tell you that we, each one of you, should be ambassadors to war fighting in its domain. And we should arm you with the right talking points to where when you go out and talk, you will have the ability to win crowds about what's going on in this domain. You have a lot of stories to tell about what's going on in this domain. And we need to have every policy person, every budgeteer, every human resource person to understand the challenges that go on in this space. Because what they do is they try to make sense out of it using other domain experience. And it isn't impossible to get it right by using other domains experience. This is a unique domain that's going to require unique policy. It's going to require unique funding and abilities to make sure that we not only attract the workforce that we need, but we maintain the workforce that you need. Now, many of you are sitting around probably making some decisions, and I see some youngsters in this room and saying, do I want to stay wearing this uniform doing this business? It is some question that I ask myself. So I'm at 36 years of service. I started in the Army as an E1 and a cook. I've asked myself that decision before. I've gotten out. So I was active duty at Fort Bragg and took an opportunity to get out and then go to college. And from that journey, I asked myself, are my skills going to be needed and used inside the uniform? Many of you may be contemplating that same decision as you sit here at this conference. Many of you could come to this conference looking for civilian opportunity. I know it's true because I've done the same thing. What I would tell you again, that there's an office in the Pentagon that wants to be your champion, that wants to partner with you, that wants to understand who you are, that wants to understand what we can do to be a champion for the things that you need and also the things that you deserve. That partnership doesn't happen with closed mouth. My grandmother said the closed mouth never gets fed. So if you want us to help you better, open up your mouth and speak. Today is an opportunity to open up your mouth and speak. Don't talk to me, talk to Jesse. He's got all the answers. But I'll end with, we're here for you. We want to be part of you. We want to make sure that we bring partnership into the conversation. It is a tough challenge as we try to fight each and every day, but our nation needs you. So I don't care where you come from. I don't care if you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth. I don't care if you grew up in the suburbs, in the inner city. I don't care if you grew up wherever. I don't care who you choose to love, who you choose to date. I don't care what uniform you wear. What I do care about is that you want to continue to serve our great nation, that you want to put on the uniform each and every day, no matter how hard and challenging it is, understanding that some people may not value your full worth, but you choose to do that because you love this nation. This is what I care about each and every day, and this is what I want to continue to fight for you in the Pentagon about. And with that, I'll pause, and any questions that you have, turn them over to Jesse, but I did want to leave some few seconds. How much time do I have? I wanted to leave some time for questions. I have 9 minutes. Questions? Go for it.
Lieutenant Seaver, nuclear submarine officer, Secretary of Industry at Microsoft right now. My question deals with the component that you spoke of policy formation. And my question is, how do you all actually enforce policy changes when you have to deal with multiple services that each have their own offices and interests in the cyber domain?
So enforcing policy, I'm not in the office of policy enforcement. So that's not something that I do. But I would say that we try to partner with the services because the services get to make decisions because they have their own secretary to do that. What we do is adjudicate to try to make sure that we bring the teams closer together. And that is a hard challenge. I mean, we had some struggles even getting the policy where we wanted it to be, and it takes compromise. Some of the things that we want to leap forward to do is in a new cyber design where we will make some decisions. And in the building, right, I don't try to seek consensus. I mean, consensus is something that I want to get to compromise, but a lot of times to do the things that we need to be done, sometimes I can't get there through compromise. It's going to be through broader decisions. And so what we would do is we'll create policy to do that. But like enforcing that policy, and let's just say I don't know if we necessarily have tools to do the enforcement part, but what we do is try to get people to see and understand the reason why we're making the decisions, to share our reason, and then to get them to come on board that way. Anne-Marie has a key position in the Navy that we want to continue a strong partnership just to make sure that everybody kind of understand the reason why. And so we try to use influence mechanisms to be able to get people to do those things. And that's the biggest hammer that I think I have right there. All right, other questions? Go ahead, sir. What you got, sir?
Hey, Sir Master John Humphrey, Thunder Mission Force Task Force 1 operator. You say that you want us to open our mouths with top-tier organizations and provide answers from our own. How do we do such a thing? I'm talking to I believe he was the Army Principal Cyber Advisor. He came down to Augusta, Georgia. We were down there for a training fire fund. And for about 40 minutes, we just drilled him with all this information and all this knowledge that we wanted to impart and explain about. Because we're all passionate, right? We all choose to serve in this domain in our different branches and may or may not value that. So we're willing to speak. How do we get the word up to people in Europe?
No, you did that. I think those sessions like that help to inform the PCAs, and they bring that passion in the room. So I like to lead through all people, right? I think our nation needs to be to where we understand that the young people talking to the older people creates better people, right? And we need to understand that there's some wisdom that will go into taking a lot of energy that comes from the folks that are leading, the folks that are actually doing the job, and then the wisdom of the older people who understand the political processes or the bureaucracy inside the Pentagon. And so we're able to take those ideas and then wrap them in a way that we think we can get it through. But we need the energy. Without the energy and the skills and understanding what's going on at the grassroots, then we could be making policy that is old and stale, policy for yesteryear, not today. And so that's the thing. We don't want to continue to feel yesterday's technology tomorrow, right? We want to have an opportunity to be able to understand the things that we need tomorrow by having a conversation about today. And that's why we're here. So one of the ways is to talk through your PCAs as well. And then one of the ways is we just show up at forums like this with an open ear and listen to what's going on in conversation. Listen to the questions that may be asked in audiences, and that gives us some insight about what's on the mind of the people actually doing the job. So thank you for that question. Good question. Other questions? No more bold hands. I mean, there are a lot of things that we need to fix in this community, so I know you all can pepper me with a lot of questions, just like the gentleman just said he did with the PCA. I think an opportunity for us to listen more so people can know that we actually do care. And I think caring that comes up when you're actually like doing things, when you see things. I always tell people don't know you care until you show you care. So one step in showing them care is by showing up today. The next step I'm showing that our office cares about Jesse staying here for the rest of the day, right? And the other thing we're going to show you we care is about putting out policy. to make sure that we can do the levers that I have in my job and my organization to drive the change that we think we need across the years are the things that I hope that you will see coming from my office. Again, we are a champion in the Pentagon, wanting to support you as best as we can. We look forward to a strong partnership with you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, on behalf of MCPA. And I know that because you've opened that door, everybody's going to run to your staff with tons of
Perfect.
questions.
Well, I did.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Now, I was in Charleston, so I was a Joint Base Commander in Charleston. I had the nuclear schools under me, too, so the person who's that's right there. And I know your partner down there in Charleston, too, so whatever I can do to help and support I'm still in touch with a lot of folks in Charleston down there.
Yes, sir. I will definitely be in touch.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.